Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Glass is one of those materials we take for granted. It's an everyday item that goes unnoticed until it doesn't. The same could be said for a little-known lab on the campus of UVM. The work taking place in the university's glassblowing lab is vital, not only to the success of students in the Department of Chemistry, but to the researchers and professors who work there. Keith Silva takes us to the lab to meet a scientific glassblower who makes and melds the glass on which UVM's chemistry department depends.
Tucked away on the third floor of UVM's Discovery Hall, one half of the university's STEM complex, is a humble workshop that serves a tremendous need and purpose.
This is the glassblowing lab at UVM.
It's here that an ancient art form meets modern science, in the hands and breath of Sally Prosh.
Research really depends on glass. And if you really think about history, where would we be without glass? You think of the microscope, you think of telescopes, you think of diffusion pumps, you think of vacuum lines. All of that wouldn't have happened without glass. So glass is a very important part of research.
A more practical research project that we have going on.
Matthias Brewer is the chair of UVM's chemistry department.
I would say that chemistry as a discipline really depends on glass because it's an inert substance, and so you can do a lot of chemical reactions with it without having to worry about the container failing. Chemistry has always been done in glass containers, and it's really goes hand in hand with the evolution of chemistry itself.
Why does UVM need an on-site glass blower?
It's much more cost-effective to have Sally build us a complicated piece of equipment that might be a one-off that we'd have to have custom designed and built elsewhere without her expertise here. Also, having things repaired is much quicker with someone on site. And of course, one of the problems with glass is it breaks easily, and it's not uncommon to have a fairly expensive piece of equipment go down. From the research standpoint, having someone on campus that can either fix accidents or make us new equipment is extremely important.
Some of the glass used in chemistry is mass-produced, but pieces like this manifold are one of a kind and have to be fabricated for specific purposes by a scientific glassblower like Prosh.
The items that I'm making are specialized, like this beaker. That is made by a machine. But they have broken the beaker, so I'm going to fix it. But I wouldn't make this. It's usually things that are very specific. They want things to fit in a certain way. They want to make some kind of chemical with it, and they want a certain design. This piece I made for a person. They couldn't buy this anywhere. They just write down the dimensions, and then I go ahead and I make it for them.
And what glass instruments Prosh doesn't make, she repairs.
Glass breaks. If I can fix it, I fix it. If I don't, it goes in the trash.
Unlike decorative or ornamental glass, the glass used for scientific instruments is harder and more heat resistant.
I'm usually working with borosilicate glass or quartz or Vicor, and they're a higher temperature glass. So this torch is a little hotter than those furnaces that you've seen. This can take thermal shock a little bit better. I can take it in and out of the flame multiple times, whereas, the softer glass, you have to keep it hot, and once you're done, you're done.
Prosh can create something as narrow as these tubes, or using a lathe, fabricate a tube wide enough to house a coil, which she also makes.
You're heating the glass, and we are using tubes and rods to start with, and then if we want to expand it, we blow air into it, and it's not like a whole lot of air, like a lot of people think, oh, you have great lungs. No, you don't need great lungs. It's just, you just gently blow air and it, expands.
Prosh learned her trade as a teenager.
My mother signed me up for a class for the local YMCA. The person that trained me, he was a scientific glassblower at the University of Nebraska. So we were making little bunnies and things like that. But I looked at his job and I really liked it. So I would apprentice with him after school. I have a degree in artistic glassblowing. I also have a degree in scientific glass technology, and then one in applied science that I thought would help me understand what the researchers are doing.
Although she's creating complex apparatus for experiments and mending a broken beaker here or there, this is as close to science as Prosh chooses to get.
I like science, I like the research that's being done, but I don't want to do it. This allows me to be a part of it and see the excitement of things and not have to do research. Research is really hard. I don't know how people do it because 80% of the time they fail. And I don't think I could take that failure rate. Yeah.
Failing is not good in your business.
No, it's not. And I like to be successful and make people happy with the research that they're doing. Yeah.
You could say it's clear that the UVM Glassblowing Lab is a one-of-a-kind find at UVM's Discovery Hall. At the University of Vermont, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Keith. Our next segment centers on a flower that's been around since dinosaurs walked the earth. In partnership with the UVM Master Gardener Program, Across the Fence presents today's Houseplant Hero segment on the Moth Orchid.
Hi, I'm Judy Miro, a UVM Extension Master Gardener coming to you from the office of UVM's Master Gardener Helpline. And I'm here to help you become a houseplant hero by providing some guidance on caring for your houseplants. Today, our focus is on the Phalaenopsis orchid genus, commonly referred to as the moth orchid or just plain old phal. Native only to regions of Asia, scientists have found Phalaenopsis orchid fossils that date back 100 million years. Now that's a plant with some staying power. While there are nearly 60 true Phalaenopsis species, there are now thousands of hybrids. Phals are now mass-produced because of it. The prices are quite reasonable. You can buy one of these beauties just about anywhere you go. In nature, these orchids grow on tree trunks and branches. They hang or cling on the bark of trees and send out the aerial roots. You'll notice that a lot of phals' aerial roots can be growing outside of the container. This is perfectly normal, and whatever you do, don't cut the aerial roots off. They're just reaching out for some extra moisture and nutrients. Phals have beautiful thick green leaves when healthy and will bloom from spikes that grow out of the base of their leaf. It's important to look for these new spikes so you can train them to grow upwards or into any form you'd like while it's still flexible and when not in flower. Place a rigid, thin stake made of bamboo, wood, or metal besides the stem that needs the support. Secure the stake loosely with small plastic clips. I use plastic hair clips, twist ties, and plastic classic plant ties. They all work great. The spikes will give way to softly rounded blooms that resemble a moth. The blooms can be anywhere from 1 to 6 inches in diameter and will vary in color from white, golden yellows to deep purples, and pretty much every combination you can imagine. Once your phal is in bloom, provided you've set it in the right place and are providing it with just the right amount of moisture, you should be able to enjoy gorgeous blooms for about 6 months or longer. This orchid will need lots of really bright filtered sunlight, water, and humidity. If the leaves of your phal become floppy and shriveled, it's time to crank up the humidity and watering schedule. Be sure to water once a week. An easy method is to place your plant in a dish or pan that's filled with warm water and allow the orchid to soak it up for 5 to 10 minutes. The aerial roots will turn from a dull silver to a dark green when you've applied enough water. Allow the excess water to drain completely out of the pot before placing it back on its saucer, or else you'll encourage root rot. You can even apply orchid fertilizer in the same manner. As a general rule, fertilize actively growing orchids with an orchid fertilizer according to the label directions. Or use a regular houseplant fertilizer at half strength. Skip fertilizing your phals altogether during bloom time, but when they are in recharge mode, then it's time to fertilize every time you water. Over-fertilizing your phal will bring on beautiful, lush green growth, but at the expense of blooms. Phals do really well under normal room temperatures with bright, filtered light from a west window, but I find they do best in an east window. One of my most frequently asked questions about phals is how do I get them to bloom again? Well, here's 3 tips. 1. Light exposure is important for reflowering, so find that east or west exposure to set your plant in. 2. Since phals have the tendency to form new flowering branches along their old flower spikes, watch the old spike closely for signs of new buds after the flowers have fallen off. Don't rush to cut off that old flower spike. It might just sprout a new flower shoot. My 3rd and favorite reblooming hack? Move your plant outdoors and into a shady location during the summer months. Bring it back indoors when the nighttime temps drop into the 50s. You'll surely have blooms again. Just remember, the orchids you'll find for sale are likely clones, super easy to grow and affordable. Most phals you'll find locally are not very fragrant, but they will certainly look spectacular. If you get the hang of growing these phals, you might want to branch out and try a few that are a tad more expensive, but just as easy to grow. Talk to your local greenhouse or garden center to see what fragrant varieties they offer. The one thing to remember is that some grow much better in greenhouses, so be sure to mention you're a home grower. Remember that by providing your plants with the conditions and care they need, you too can be a houseplant hero. For more information on houseplants or home gardens, visit the UVM Extension Master Gardener website and see our Garden Resources page. Or contact an Extension Master Gardener volunteer at the helpline. The phone number is on the screen. This is Extension Master Gardener Judy Miro wishing you happy growing.
Our thanks to Judy and the Master Gardener program. To see more of our Houseplant Hero segments, visit the Across the Fence YouTube page at youtube.com/atfence. And that's our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.